Hello friends, welcome to this channel. Uh, Today we will study about equilibrium state and what is the heat and work interaction between system and surroundings, and why heat and work are path functions, not point functions. Those things we will discuss. And what is the convention for work done by the system and work done on the system, and when it is transferred to the system, and when heat is transferred from the system, what are the conventions, sign conventions I am talking about, and all those things we will discuss today. Before starting, I must say one thing to all of you. Please do subscribe to this channel, and of course like it and share it to your friends. So first we must know what is a thermodynamic equilibrium state. Equilibrium state. So we have already discussed what is a state. A system is said to exist in a state. So this is equilibrium state we will study. A system is said to exist at a state when all the thermodynamic properties can be defined and calculated throughout the system. When we say a system has certain pressure and volume, means that single numerical value of pressure refers to the whole system. You can't say that this system, here one value of pressure will be there. If this is a system, throughout the system the pressure should remain same, or temperature, one value of temperature there would be. You can't say temperature here is 50 degrees Celsius and here the temperature will be 45 degrees Celsius within a system. There cannot be difference in temperature within a system. So as a whole, the system must have one numerical value of temperature and one numerical value of pressure. Every thermodynamic property must be uniform throughout the system, and it should not also vary with time also. So that is that is when we can say that the thermodynamic system is in equilibrium. So for a system to be in thermodynamic equilibrium, there are three conditions, three equilibriums to be satisfied. One is thermal equilibrium, one is thermal equilibrium, thermal equilibrium. Second one is mechanical equilibrium. And the third one is chemical equilibrium. A system can be said to exist in a state of thermodynamic equilibrium if and only if these three conditions are satisfied, without which we can't say that the system is in state of thermodynamic equilibrium. So we'll go one by one. What is thermal equilibrium? What is mechanical equilibrium? So thermal equilibrium means a system, for any system, the temperature must be uniform throughout the system. And suppose at a point temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, at another point 42 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius, this is 30 degrees Celsius, and this system cannot be said to be in a state of thermal equilibrium. So equilibrium means lack of disbalance. There should be proper balance. There should not be any driving potentials or unbalanced potentials. That means driving potential means we know that when there is a temperature difference inside the system, means heat will flow. Heat flows only when there is temperature difference. So temperature difference is the driving potential. So a system can be said to be in a state of equilibrium when there is no unbalanced potentials or driving forces within the system. So for a heat to flow, we know temperature difference is a must. So if there is a temperature difference or temperature gradient existing within a system means heat can flow. So that's why this system is not in a state of thermal equilibrium, and that's why it is not also in a state of thermodynamic equilibrium. So this system is in a state of thermal equilibrium, that is, here the temperature you measure 40, here also 40, throughout the system this is uniform, and with respect to time also these values don't vary. Suppose at a certain instant of time, if you measure, temperature will be found to be 40 degrees Celsius, and an hour later if you measure, the temperature will come out the same. Then only you can say thermal equilibrium. And a body is in thermal equilibrium with the surrounding only if the temperature of the body is equal to the temperature of the surroundings. Suppose a hot coffee at a temperature of suppose 40 degrees Celsius, if eventually put in outside air or somewhere, if you put in a room, after certain time period eventually it cools up. That means it loses heat to the surrounding up to the point when the thermal equilibrium state is attained. Thermal equilibrium means equality of temperature. So when the temperature of the coffee becomes equal to the temperature of external air or surrounding air, then only a state of equilibrium will be attained, thermal equilibrium will be attained, and there would be no heat flow between the hot coffee and the surroundings then, because the temperature will be equal. So this is called thermal equilibrium. Then mechanical equilibrium. Particularly mechanical equilibrium means there should not be any unbalanced forces acting within the system and surroundings. So there must be a single pressure value for the whole system, and there should not be also pressure difference between the system and the surroundings. Then only you can say that a system is in a state of mechanical equilibrium. And for a system to be in thermodynamic equilibrium, thermal equilibrium is a must, and mechanical equilibrium is also to be satisfied, and then chemical equilibrium. Mechanical equilibrium means pressure for mechanical equilibrium. Pressure should remain same at every point within system with respect to time. So suppose at certain instant of time you measure pressure at a certain point, then it is came out to be 10 kilopascal, and after suppose 100 kilopascal, then after certain time if you measure at the same point means pressure would come out same, and that is the pressure does not vary with respect to time at a certain point. Of course pressure at a different point may differ, but that is only due to gravitational effects. We know that whenever we move downward, pressure increases, but as far as the most of the thermodynamic system is concerned, these gravitational effects are negligible. That's why it is assumed that pressure remains same throughout the system, and also it does not vary with respect to time. And whenever you measure pressure at any point, at any instant of time, you will find out same value. Then only you can say that the mechanical equilibrium state has been attained and the system is in a state of mechanical equilibrium. Then third condition is that chemical equilibrium. You see, even when the system, the pressure changes due to gravitational effects, as we move downward, pressure increases, but that is not unbalanced, because the pressure at a bottom layer, in any case of fluid, in a free liquid surface, there is atmospheric pressure, and as we move downward, there is an increase in pressure, and the high pressure in the bottom layer is balanced by the underlying weight. So pressure suppose acts in the upward direction and weight acts in downward direction. So there is a balance of forces. So that means there is no unbalanced forces. So that's why there is the system is also in state of equilibrium. Whenever there is no unbalanced forces, then that means the system is in a state of thermodynamic equilibrium, or here particularly here it is in state of mechanical equilibrium. So chemical equilibrium is the third condition required for a system to be in thermodynamic equilibrium. We can say if a system can be said to be in chemical equilibrium if there is no chemical reaction or no change in chemical composition. Whenever there is no chemical reaction or there is no change in chemical composition, then we can say that there is a chemical equilibrium, there is a state of chemical equilibrium. And when all these three conditions are satisfied, first one is thermal equilibrium, mechanical equilibrium and chemical equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium means temperature must be uniform throughout the system, and every system must have a unique value of temperature. Whenever a system, we can say that the temperature is 50 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Celsius, that means a particular state, equilibrium state has been attained. Mechanical equilibrium means there must be a single pressure which refers to the whole system. We can say that the pressure of the system is this much. And chemical equilibrium means composition. We can say that the composition of the substance inside the system is this. Suppose water, its composition is H2O. So this is then only you can say that the system is in chemical equilibrium. Once these three conditions are satisfied, means we can say that the system is in thermodynamic equilibrium, which we simply say that the system is in equilibrium. In thermodynamics, equilibrium means the system is in a state of equilibrium, means we can say that the system is in state of thermodynamic equilibrium and all these three conditions are satisfied. So next important thing that we will discuss is temperature. Temperature and Zeroth law of thermodynamics. Temperature and Zeroth law of thermodynamics. This law is also very important apart from the first and second law of thermodynamics. Those are the fundamental laws of nature, but this law forms the foundation for measurement of temperature. Unless we can measure temperature, we can't proceed in thermodynamics. So this law actually forms the basis for the measurement of temperature. So what is temperature? Temperature is a measure of degree of hotness or coldness of a system. We can feel it by our physiological senses, but always by physiological sensations we can't assign any numerical value to temperature. We can use phrases like a substance is red hot. Suppose we use phrases that mean extremely hot or freezing cold. We use these kind of phrases to indicate whether the substance is hot or cold. We simply say the substance is hot, or we say the substance is cold. But red hot or freezing cold mean extremely cold. So but these are not sufficient. We have to assign some numeric value to it. So that can be done only by measuring the temperature. So Zeroth law of thermodynamics plays an important role for measurement of temperature. So what does Zeroth law states? So what does zeroth law states? It states that if a body is in thermal equilibrium, actually the statement is like, if two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with a third body, if two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with a third body, then those two bodies are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. You see, if two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with a third body, then those two bodies are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. I will go term by term. You see, when two bodies are in thermal equilibrium, we have already discussed, only when their temperature shows same reading. When the temperatures of two bodies show same reading, then only those two bodies are in thermal equilibrium. If temperature of body A is equal to temperature of body B, then we can say these two bodies are in thermal equilibrium. Suppose hot coffee, when temperature of hot coffee decreases, only when heat flows from the hot coffee to the surrounding, and when the temperature of coffee becomes equal to the temperature of surrounding, then we can say that the thermal equilibrium state has been attained and there is no more heat flow. Once thermal equilibrium is attained between the two system or between a system and surrounding, there is no possibility of any kind of heat flow to occur. Heat can only flow when there is a temperature difference between two systems, or between system and surrounding, whatever may be the case. So heat can only flow only when there is temperature difference. So when two bodies temperature are equal, then we can say that those two bodies are in state of thermal equilibrium. So this is a ridiculous statement. You see, this cannot be a fundamental law. If one would think that this is not a fundamental law, there is nothing important in this statement. You see, if temperature T, suppose T of A and T of B, if TA equal to TC and TB also equal to TC, then TA equal to TB. This is a simple thing, everybody knows. And what is newness in this? What kind of novelty? There is no novelty in this statement. There is no newness in this system. So, but at that time there is no measurement of temperature was possible. So this law was developed by R.H. Fowler in 1931. So this laid the foundation for measurement of temperature. How? This law was formulated by R.H. Fowler in 1931, even 50 years earlier than the first and second law were formulated. So 50 years later, this 1931 and that Joule's first law and second law were 50 years before this law. So, but this law should have come earlier than those two laws. That's why it was named as zeroth law. Those first and second, so zero comes before first and second, but actually this law came after those two laws were formulated, since this forms a foundation for measurement of temperature, and this law should have preceded those two first and second laws of thermodynamics, that's why this is called the zeroth law. Zero comes before 1 and 2, so zeroth law of thermodynamics. Zeroth law of thermodynamics. So how does it form the foundation of measurement of temperature? You see, we said that zeroth law, we stated that when two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with third body, then those two bodies are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. If we replace third body by thermometer, third body if is your thermometer, where thermometer is a temperature measuring device. If we replace third body by thermometer, then the zeroth law can be restated as that if the third body is our thermometer, a temperature measuring device, then zeroth law can be restated. Two bodies are in thermal equilibrium. Two bodies are in thermal equilibrium if they show same temperature reading on thermometer. Even though they aren't in contact with each other. We say that whenever a hot body comes in contact with a cold body, there is heat transfer in the form of conduction, and then the heat flow takes place unless and until thermal equilibrium state is attained. That means unless and until the two temperature numerical values of temperature become equal. But this zeroth law can be restated as two bodies are in thermal equilibrium if they show same temperature reading. Earlier we stated that when two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with a third body, then those two bodies are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. Here the third body, if it becomes a thermometer, suppose if any two bodies are not in contact with each other, but they show same reading on thermometer, that means they are also in thermal equilibrium with each other. If you place those two bodies in contact with each other, there is no possibility of any kind of heat transfer to take place. So even when two bodies are not in contact with each other but show same reading on thermometer, then those two bodies can be said to be in a state of thermal equilibrium. That's what the zeroth law also states. Zeroth law can be restated like that. That means two bodies are in thermal equilibrium if they show same temperature reading on thermometer, even though they are not in contact with each other. So this forms the basis for temperature measurement. Fortunately, there are certain properties of materials which vary repeatedly with a change in temperature. So there are certain properties of materials which vary repeatedly and reproducibly with a change in temperature. Suppose There are various types of thermometers, but most widely used thermometer is mercury thermometer, whose that property which changes with the change in temperature is called a thermometric property. In case of mercury thermometer, the length of mercury, it increases with increase in temperature. Similarly, other thermocouple or resistance thermometers are there with different kind of thermometric properties. So this is how the Zeroth law forms a basis for temperature measurement. That's why this law is named as Zeroth, because this should have preceded earlier than first and second law of thermodynamics. This is also a basic law of thermodynamics also. So next is, what is energy in thermodynamics? What is actually energy in thermodynamics? Right from the beginning, we defined thermodynamics as a science of energy interactions. So energy in thermodynamics mainly is of two kinds. One is energy in storage, and second is energy in transit. So energy in storage again is divided into two types. Energy in storage is divided into, energy is always a property of system. This energy, which energy is stored in a system, is a thermodynamic property. Not which energy is in transit, they are not thermodynamic property. Whatever energy is stored in a system means, whenever a system is at a particular state, means it has a particular value of thermodynamic, it has a particular value of energy in storage. And whenever a system passes to a different state, then it will have different energy values. So this is a thermodynamic property. Energy in storage consists of two parts. One is macroscopic energy, and another is microscopic energy. But these two are the energy which is in storage. They form the part of the energy of a system. Energy is a thermodynamic property. So macroscopic energy is potential kinetic energy plus potential energy, and microscopic energy is energy that is stored in a molecular structure of the system and is also called the internal energy, which is usually referred to by capital U, molecular internal energy. These are contained in the molecular structure of a system. Macroscopic energies are energy with reference to certain object. These are the energies possessed by a body with reference to certain object. So for example, potential energy is measured with respect to a datum. The potential energy is mg into height of the object from an arbitrary datum. Similarly, also for calculation of kinetic energy, a reference body can be chosen. So macroscopic energies, apart from kinetic and potential energies, other energies are also there, like surface tension energy, gravitational energies. All those energies are also, electric energies are also there. But predominantly there are these two kinds of, these are the two macroscopic energy. And when we say total energy of a system, means we say that this is Ek plus Ep plus U. Ek is the kinetic energy of the system, Ep is the potential energy of the system, and U is the molecular internal energy of the system. If a system is suppose stationary, and it is said to, the potential energy can be assumed to be 0 if it is suppose lying on a datum line. So then potential energy is 0. It is suppose lying on the datum line, then potential energy can be assumed to be 0. Then we can say that E is only equal to U. U is the nothing but the molecular internal energy, or simply also this is called internal energy. And thermodynamics mainly focuses on calculating energy change rather than absolute value of energy. So thermodynamics is mainly interested in finding out the change in energy rather than finding out the absolute values of energy. In the next class, we will discuss about heat and work transfer.